Well, since the 2016 presidential election, more than 3.6 million Hispanics have now become eligible to cast their ballot on Tuesday. But the Latino vote is extremely diverse, from the traditionally Republican Cuban voter to the consistently Democratic Mexican vote. Here to talk about the urgency of elevating those voices are Dulce Rojas from Voto Latino and Djali Alessandra Brown-Cepedes, award-winning film producer and founder of Neuvayorkinos.
Just this cycle, we've registered more than 500,000 and climbing. So we're super excited. You know, we were definitely worried about the impact COVID would have on the grassroots organizing end of all things, you know, building relationships for years with communities to now, you know, having to rely on a digital facing interaction. But we actually saw great results. People are going out of the way because they know the importance of the elections. You know, they've searched for us, they're following us, they're using our tools, and then our partners are critical as well. You know, they've been also helping us get the word out in hard to reach communities.
I came across your New York Times piece where you were mentioned last month, where you said that the Latinx vote is so important during this election. Tell us more about that and what you've been doing to help particularly the first-time and younger Latin voters.
For me, it's been so incredibly important through Neuvayorkinos, which is a digital archival project documenting oral histories of Latinx New Yorkers, you know, in that, you know, who are the gatekeepers to culture and who are the gatekeepers in politics. And for so long, that has been the oligarchy. But however, that is not representative of the nation. That's not representative of the Latinx community or of, you know, the youth, right? We are the ones who are in positions of power to enact the power that, you know, that we would like to see in office.
What have you heard has been the most concern from the people on the ground, voters that you're registering?
How can I make sure that my friends and my family have the right information? Because there is a lot of disinformation in general about different issues. So especially for the Latinx community, you know, they're being targeted in a very specific way, very strategic way. So, you know, a lot of the people that we're reaching, they're asking us these questions, and we have to create these tools and resources for them.
Okay, so let me ask a question from the teens for each of you. So Dulce, I'll start with you. It comes from Lyric Dixon. It comes from Lyric Dixon. She's 19 years old, and she wants to know.
A lot of young voters are feeling discouraged by blatant discrimination by our administration with no consequences or repercussions. So what power do we have to hold biased leaders accountable?
My family faced a lot of hate on a very local level. We faced racism, discrimination. We fought back. And that is what I want to tell Lyric, is that we have to fight back and organize. I am the fruit of that, where I'm organizing, I'm here, I'm putting in the work, and there is going to be a time where, you know, we're going to be able to make sure that we have adequate representation, but that takes grassroots organizing, that takes mobilizing on a very local level as well. That takes, you know, making sure that we are starting off with getting our aunts, friends involved with us. You know, it's not so much of let's just get somebody to register to vote, but how do we become lifetime civic engagement participants so that we make sure our voice is heard. You know, lots of the politics that are going to be critical for our community started at a very local, county, statewide level. So let's start organizing and let's start building the foundation for to make sure that we have adequate representation that looks like us, that speaks to us, not at us.
Let me pose this question to you, Djali, from Caitlin, who is also 19. She asks,
with Amy Coney Barrett entering the Supreme Court, what can we do to be supporting our LGBTQ communities as well as people who are suffering with reproductive rights? How do we support them and give them the protection that they need?
Caitlin. I think that's a question or a topic that so many of us have on our minds right now. Similar to what Dulce was saying, you know, everything starts with, as you know, as a community organizer, community organizing, you know, grassroots movements, strategizing, you know, these are things that we can do. And these are things that we have done, not just now, not just in 2020 or in the, you know, 21st century. This is stuff that we have been doing, you know, protesting and fighting for and demanding to see change and demanding accountability is something that, you know, we need to always do. I'm a firm believer in the normalization of the protest. Protesting has gotten us to where we are today. You know, but aside from protesting, right, we can, you know, talk about the Freedom of Choice Act, which has already been, you know, enacted in 9 states, right? And that statute does protect the right to abortion in 9 states: California, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Maine, Maryland, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. We cannot, again, we cannot let these systems at play, these oligarchical systems that do, you know, not only do they not serve us, but they have never served us and they don't look like us, you know, they don't represent our views and, you know, the changing views and the progressive views of the nation and of the youth.